I'm hoping they're going to start to fix and work on some of those problems for the next iteration of Grand Theft Auto, but who knows? Who knows what's going to happen with that? And then I thought of a game that I had to sit there and think about this. What was a game that, if I could take it out, maybe not the most significant, or the one that got it the most wrong, or the most people played, but I want to talk about a game for my selection that wins for me, that I would take away from the history of video gaming. Those of you that have watched The Wringer for a while know that I'm a huge fan of the Heroes of Might and Magic series, of which the first game is probably one of the worst. The second game is great. The third game is one of the best games of all time. Okay, so you have a kind of lineage. You have a proof of concept, an awesome game, and then an unbelievable game, a top 10 game. And then you have Heroes of Might and Magic 4. And Heroes of Might and Magic 4 is the game I would take off the face of the planet, because it absolutely killed the Heroes of Might and Magic series. It did everything it could to absolutely kill it. With heroes on the field, with the strange operatic music that went with the towns that just completely missed the mark, even though the music was done by the same person. At that point, the whole New World computing vision of Heroes of Might and Magic was dying a terrible death in order to satisfy 3DO and all the publishing that went to that point, because I believe that was a Ubisoft game. I could be wrong. That might have been before they were bought by Ubi. But anyway, the point is, that game was so bad. It was bad. It was a bad game. Everything about it just not nearly as fun. You can go back and play 3 right now. Heroes of Might and Magic 3 came out in 1999, I think. That game is just as much fun today as it was the day that it came out. Just as much fun today as it was the day that it came out. Heroes 4 is a disaster. I've never played through the whole thing. I never wanted to play through the whole thing. It's just bad. Heroes 5, luckily by Naval Interactive, is absolutely a fantastic game. Really picks up where 3 left off. So why not just drop 4 onto the off the face of the earth? That's my philosophy. So I'm going to say, for my selection here, if I could take one game away, it would be Heroes of Might and Magic 4. So there you have it, guys. That's wrapping up everything from last week. This is going to be a new world record here in terms of length of the Wringer. I hope you apologize. For Independence Day, maybe we're going to do some extravaganza here and have a very long weekly Wringer. Okay. Now, in the spirit of Independence Day here in the United States, the good old US of A, I wanted to talk to you guys and ask a question about something that's really been moving. It's one of the major movements in video games and video gaming over the past really 10 years, maybe last 15 you could make an argument. Here's what I want to talk about. I went back and I was looking at some of those old PlayStation games I was playing. There's been a lot written about this, guys. This is not me kind of making something up. Go look it up. When you look back at some of your favorite games from 1990s, the late 1990s, what you're going to see is a video game world dominated by the traditional paradigm of Japanese video game makers and making. Okay? At that point, we'd come off a decade of the Japanese takeover of video games. Remember, video games being an American phenomenon very early on, just decimated, just got destroyed. And then rising out of the ashes of that was the kind of Japanese way, right? Super Mario Brothers is a quintessentially Japanese game that has broad, tremendous American appeal. Sometimes for no reason at all, apparently. You could do some deep textual analysis there to try to figure it out, but largely for no reason at all. Now, what's changed and what the dynamic has really brought in the last 10 years, and again, there's much written about this, is that now, if you look at the games that are out there and the games that are really moving and shaking, the Japanese video game makers are reeling. They're absolutely reeling because the video game world right now is dominated by the American model. Okay, so the American video game creation model. All the best games are designed here. I'm being general, guys. There are certainly games that are not made in the United States that are fantastic. Look at something like Minecraft, or some of the more, I guess, free-spirited folks out there that are doing it in non-traditional ways. That's a completely different story. I'm talking about AAA, right, titles that push the video game, I guess, cultural phenomenon forward. But culturally, much has been written about the fact that the Japanese can't make good games to save their life now. And all of them are seeking to move to the United States to try to figure out what's gone on with the American development model that's been so successful. Okay, and there's been a lot written about this. You guys should definitely check it out. I forget who wrote it. I apologize, guys, but I was just reading a letter. It's kind of an open letter to Japanese video game developers from, it might have been Kojima, actually, the famous creator of Metal Gear. And Kojima, I think, was talking about, he was basically a slap in the face for Japanese developers. Wake up and realize what we're doing here in America now, because it's sad to see that Japan can't make any good video games now that have broad, tremendous appeal. Again, this is all very general, guys, but I'm just saying, in the general, you can say that the Japanese are having a really hard time making good video games, and the Americans are just kind of popping them out. All the good games are coming out of it now. So, here is the weekly ringer for next week that I want you guys to answer for me. What is it about the Japanese way of making video games that kind of has lost its luster over time, right? And then, I guess, to answer that question, I want you to tell me why the American model, what we kind of know as video games now, has really thrived and has really made a kind of different cultural contribution. That's what I want to know. Fill in the cultural gaps for me about why the Japanese model and way of video games only lasted a certain amount of time, and why things have really moved toward the American model. That's my Independence Day themed weekly ringer. So there you have it. That's the weekly ringer for this week. I just wanted to say again, thanks so much for all the new members. We had a lot of great new folks this week. Thanks so much for everybody for sending in your contributions. We had two really deep conversations over the past 2 weeks, and I've really enjoyed it. So thank you all for your contributions. Thank you all for watching. As always, I am the Commodore from the clan of the Gray Wolf, and there is no reset button.